Hi, everybody, and good morning. Welcome to our first Intro Psych Twitch live stream for my Intro Psych classes. I see a bunch of you getting logged in, which is fantastic, and putting your names in the chat. Thank you. Good morning to you as well. Can you all hear me and see me okay? Somebody let me know in the chat if everything is coming through. The internet on campus isn't always the most amazing, so we will hope for the best. Okay, perfect. A lot of you are saying yes. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you. So if you haven't been on here before, this is Twitch. Just kind of a little more pop culture and fun, I think, than Zoom, just to kind of change things up. The way that you communicate with me through this is through the chat feature. I am monitoring it on my phone. So if you have any questions or comments or anything throughout, put them in the chat and I will happily answer them for you. So I'm excited to have so many of you in here with me. Good morning. My name is Elisa Setmire and I am the instructor for this class. Somebody asked, I took the quiz that hasn't shown up on Canvas. Yes, I will talk about that. I'm glad you asked. So the ebook doesn't bring scores over automatically into Canvas. I wish that it did. That would be amazing. So as long as you see in the ebook gradebook that you did complete it and you have a score, you are in good shape for now. So once the deadline passes, I will bring all those scores over. But for now, as long as you see it there, you're in good shape. Okay. So what I want to do for today, you're welcome, is go through the Canvas site a little bit, go through the orientation, the syllabus, the ebook site, just kind of make sure that you know what to expect, where you can find everything. If you have questions at any point, you are welcome to put them in the chat and ask. Please ask if you have questions because I can't see you, so I don't know if you're confused. And then I will always end by giving you a extra credit question for joining me live, and I'll show you where you can answer that and how you can get those points. And then I will leave some time for questions at the end as well. So that is kind of the plan. This one live stream will probably be the longest just because we're going through everything. Normally you can plan on maybe about 30 minutes or so, just kind of a check-in, some reminders, some announcements, some feedback, just a chance to check in with you live. So I know schedules are busy, but thank you so much for being here when you can. So let's go ahead and jump over to Canvas together and get started. And again, if you have questions at any point, please feel free to ask. So this is our Canvas homepage, and it looks like this. You'll see there's to-do stuff on the right. There's a bunch of links here on the front page and some links over here on the side. Let me adjust this really quickly so you can see all of it a little bit better. We'll see if that helps. So what you'll notice on this page is I have a description of the class. There's links to announcements, the ebook site. Now that looks better on your end. And then you can see all these links here. So when you log onto this page, it says start here. And that is a great place to start with the mandatory orientation. You could also start by looking at the syllabus. But I want to just kind of walk you through this just to make sure you know where to find everything. So if you click start here, it should take you straight to the mandatory orientation lecture. And I think this is a wonderful spot to start. You're going to go through, I kind of highlight what to expect, what the format of this class will be, all of that kind of stuff. Or if you wanted, you could back up a little bit all the way to the top and take a look at the syllabus. So let's take a look at the syllabus together first, and then we'll kind of make our way through everything else. And again, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so the syllabus for the class kind of highlights what you can expect, right? So it has the sections, my name, my office, and all of that. As a side note, so my name is Elisa Setmire. You can call me Elisa, you can call me Setmire, you can call me Professor Setmire. I don't have a PhD, so if you call me Dr. Setmire, it's a lie, but I mean, it's a nice one, so I won't be mad at you. But most people call me Elisa or call me Setmire or Professor Setmire. I do have an office, which I'm in right now. You can see all my kids' pictures from Chuck E. Cheese behind me. And I have a phone number and an email. It's always better to email me. If you have any questions, I check my email constantly. I only get my messages when I'm in my office. And you can always make an appointment to meet with me either in person or virtually, or you can ask me questions here while we're together on Twitch. There's some information about the department chair, the dean, and all of that stuff, a description and objectives. I'm going to let you look over all of that on your own, along with some of the outcomes. All of those things are things that you can expect to know and things that we're going to cover throughout our semester together. Let's pick up here where it says textbook, text and required materials. So there is a required book for this class, and I know that books are expensive. I'm sorry for that. I've been a student for many years too, so I understand. The book that you need is called Psyched, and it is the 4th edition, and it's an ebook. Okay, so make sure that you're only buying the ebook version. There actually isn't a print version of it at this point. So if you have a print version, that's old. But this is a book. You'll notice I wrote it, which took me a long time to do, and you will use it a lot. Okay, and I know that books are expensive, but it's only $87, which is really reasonable for a psych book. My abnormal psych class, I think the book is like $280. It's ridiculous. So $87 I know is a lot, but please get the book. You actually need it today, by today, in order to complete the first requirement of the class. So if that's a problem or you're struggling, make sure you reach out to me. I'll show you where you can find the link to buy the book in a little bit. But make sure you get the book. We'll go look at that site a little later. You might want the Canvas app and maybe even the Twitch app, since I do use Twitch a lot on your phone or tablet. And then you obviously need access to a computer or something with internet capacity in order to be successful in our online class. I have some computer and system requirement stuff, which you can look over. Let's look at these codes of conduct, policies, and so on. I really want this to be a safe and friendly and wonderful learning environment for all of you. I have a background as a therapist and as a counselor, and so those are things that are really important to me, in addition to just my philosophy as a teacher. So let's always try to be respectful of each other here on Twitch, in the discussion forums, in every interaction that we have with each other. You're going to be writing discussions and sharing your opinions and hopefully asking questions. And so let's always just try and be mindful and respectful. The way that this class is set up is that you have access to 2 weeks of material at a time. So there really should be no reason that you ever have any late work or makeups for exams. I'm really strict about the deadlines because you have so much flexibility. So the way that it's set up is you have 2 weeks at a time of materials available to you, and you can complete those things at any point during those 2 weeks. But when that 2-week deadline hits, I don't accept anything beyond that deadline. If something comes up and you have an emergency or something happens or you're struggling, right? If you reach out to me before the deadline, I am happy to work with you. If you reach out to me 1 minute after the deadline, it will be too late. So that's kind of my one hard rule. If you're struggling with time, if you need an extension, if there's an emergency, if something happened, make sure you reach out to me before the deadline, and I am happy to work with you. After the deadline, unfortunately, it will be too late. You can access it on your phone. Somebody asked, can I access the live stream on your phone? Yes, I believe so. I don't use Twitch for anything but this. Sadly, we won't be playing any video games, which is what Twitch is known for. But you should be able to access it on your phone from the app, for sure. Make sure that you're not copying or cheating. Give me all your own creative work. It's very easy to identify when people like copy or cheat in an online class. So just please try to make sure that you are giving me everything that's your own and unique, and it'll be perfect and wonderful. There's some stuff about smoking and sexual misconduct that you can look over. And again, I'm not covering everything, but I just want to make sure that you are feeling comfortable about what I expect and where you can find all of this. As far as your grade goes, there are 5 elements that are going to make up your grade. The first one is there is a mandatory orientation quiz that is due by tonight at 11:59 p.m. And the reason it's due so soon is I want to make sure that you've logged in, you got your book, you're ready to go. You cannot complete the quiz without the book and without going through all these materials that we're talking about today. So again, if there's something going on and you're struggling with that, make sure you reach out to me. But if you don't complete this, you'll get an email from me tomorrow with a drop warning. So please make sure that you're getting going on this. I'll show you where you can find it and all of that in a little bit. You'll be doing a lot of discussions. That's kind of your main assignments in this class. Every week, you'll be in charge of 2 discussions worth up to 15 points. And these are going to be things that connect to the materials that we're covering. So you're going to be answering questions about the stuff in the book and the stuff in the lecture. And again, I'll show you each one of these elements as we get there. There will be a couple of little self-assessments. They're not worth a lot of points, but I'm going to have you check in every couple of weeks and kind of see how you're doing, if there's anything that you want to do better or worse, if you're confused about anything. It's just my way of kind of checking in with you and having you think about your progress in the class so far. There will be a closing assignment during the last 2 weeks, which we'll talk a lot about when we get there. And then you'll take 4 exams. The exams in the discussion are really the biggest graded items, but there will be one exam every 2 weeks on those materials. These will be online on the ebook site, and I will show you and talk a lot about those. Next week, during week number 2, I'll talk about exam number 1, and I'll show you and give you some tips for how to be successful and so on, and talk about the study guide. Today I'm going to focus kind of on a bigger overview of the class, and then next week we'll look at the exam. Okay. So those things together make up your grade. So those elements, and you can see everything's just based off of points. So you can see what you need to get an A or B or C or so on. If you do have a memo with access, make sure that you get that to me as soon as possible. Once you have your book registered, I can adjust for you to have your extra time. If you're going to need other resources, we can talk about that. So make sure that you connect with me soon if you have a memo with access. And then there's some stuff here like student tech support, college information, like the student services, important dates. All of those things are there for you in case you need them. And then after that, it just goes through the schedule. So again, the way the class will work is as of Monday, so a couple of days ago, you have access to weeks 1 and 2. So everything from weeks 1 and 2 is open to you. And then in 2 weeks, you'll have access to weeks 3 and 4 and so on. So for right now, you're focusing on all the materials here from weeks 1 and 2. So I've laid it out for you here. I send out lots of announcements. I use a lot of things like Twitch, like right now, to remind you. And then the last thing that I have down here is that our class does end on a Friday. I'll remind you a bunch when we get closer in October. That's a long ways away from now. But I do want to make sure that you are aware of that. And of course, like I said, if anything ever comes up or you're struggling, please reach out to me, but always do it before the deadline if you want any extension or consideration of an extension. So those are kind of the highlights of the syllabus. Are there any questions about the syllabus for now? I have lots more I'm going to go over before we're done today, but any questions for the moment since I can't see you? Hopefully you're doing okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm going to jump to the next element here. I'm going to wait just a second because you're usually like about 30 seconds behind me. Good so far. Thank you. I appreciate you letting me, you all letting me know. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. If you think of anything, put it in there. So if you're on this little modules tab, I just went through the syllabus. I sent out a welcome letter on Monday, and I did post a copy of it here. Here is all the information about the textbook. So if you click on this, it's going to give you how you can purchase the book. And again, if you haven't done this already, really important to do this as soon as possible. Here's the information for the book. The cheapest spot to buy it is to go directly to this purchase link that I gave you here. So if you click on this purchase link, it'll take you right to the page where you can buy the book. Again, it's $87, and I know that's a lot of money, but it's so much cheaper than the average psych book. I was able to control the cost because I wrote it, so it's quite a bit lower. Obviously didn't publish it, Kendall Hunt did. But once you purchase the book, you'll be emailed an access code where you can register it. Make sure that you choose the right section. Okay, so I do have 2 sections going right now. You're either in 79921 or 79927, and those sections are linked to the gradebook, so make sure you try and pick the right one. And if you don't, by accident, we can always fix it. But make sure you get your copy of the book. We're going to look at the textbook a little bit more later, but make sure that you do get it as soon as possible. Underneath that, I do have some information, sorry, here I got kicked out, about purchasing, registering, and accessing your ebook. There's a sample rubric. I even made a video overview if you're still feeling a little confused after this. So I have lots of resources for you here if you're struggling or if you're confused. There's also some campus resources and help under that. I compiled a list of like frequently asked questions that people like typically ask me in the first weeks, like best way to get a hold of me, where do I go to get started, something's not showing up. So I put all this together in case you are confused. You can always email me, but I did want to kind of compile that. There's a student lounge right here where you can all meet together. You can ask and answer questions with each other. If you would like to, it is there for you as a resource. This is a big one, and I'll talk more about this when we get to the mandatory orientation, but I use a lot of technology in this class. So I use a lot of YouTube videos. I use Twitch for our weekly live streams. I want to make sure that you have found me on these platforms. So if you click on this page here, it's going to give you step-by-step instructions of how to find me on Twitch. If you're watching this now, you did it. You're already there. That's fantastic. But find me on YouTube and subscribe. That one's easy. It's free, but that will allow you to access all the videos very easily. Twitch is a little more challenging, but you can subscribe to my Twitch channel completely free. I don't want you paying money for this. If you don't have to, please try not to. But the advantage to subscribing to my Twitch channel, there's a bunch of them. So you get notifications when I'm online, just in case you forget. When you subscribe, I can track your attendance and participation. Selfishly, this is huge for me. There are in total 108 of you in this class, or these two classes. When you are subscribed, I can download a list of those of you who are here, and that saves me so much time. So if you have the opportunity to do this, I would really appreciate you taking the time to do it. It saves me time. It makes my life easier. It makes your life easier. It also means that you have less ads. Because this is not a private platform, there are sometimes ads. Like there's one at the beginning every time, but if you're subscribed, that should be the only one that you get. And for fun, this part's like the fun part to me. If you look at the people who are subscribed, you get a little football cake next to your name. It kind of looks like a hamburger, but it's a football cake that I designed. So I think that's fun. The other big thing is if you can't join me live. So if you're watching this later, for example, or if you have class, or maybe just something came up during this time, if you are subscribed to my channel on Twitch, you can still answer the extra credit question that I give for those 2 points during these streams. So either join me live or you can subscribe, which still allows you to do that extra credit because I can track your attendance. So if you have an opportunity to do that either right now or later, I would really appreciate it. I gave you step-by-step instructions right here because it is a little tricky of how to link your Amazon account to your Twitch account. And if you do that, you can subscribe completely for free. And again, I gave you step-by-step instructions plus a video at the end. So take some time today or tomorrow, sometime this week to figure that out if you can. As I said, it really benefits you, and it also benefits me a lot as well. There is that, and I'll remind you every week about that, and I'm sorry to do that, but it saves me so much time that I can't help but make a case for it. There's also some stuff here about technology assistance, Canvas help, how to find your grades, student services, the psych major information. So all of these resources are there for you if you need them. If you're feeling good, then you might not need them, but they are there. Okay, and then underneath that, once you've looked at the syllabus, once you've gotten your book, the next thing to look at is the mandatory orientation lecture. And so if we click on that together, what you'll notice is all of my lectures follow the same format. I'm really big on consistency so that you always know what to expect and can find things easily. So you'll see that every lecture has like a 5-tab format to it. Overview, organization, instructor, resources, and help for this one. You can listen to my lectures. I did record all of the text on the page. If you miss the sound of my voice or if it's easier to listen to, you can listen to it or you can read it. It's just me reading the text on the page. But for this lecture, make sure you read through the whole thing. You're going to listen to these pages, read through the syllabus, which we looked at briefly together. You're going to complete that mandatory orientation quiz, which I'll show you in a little bit. Find me on YouTube, find me on Twitch. Again, those are big things in order to help ensure your success. So if you can do those 2 things, you'll be in a great spot. The next page tells you a little bit about how the course is organized. So again, you have access to 2 weeks of material at a time. Since it's an 8-week class, it's kind of quick, but not as fast as like a 4-week one, obviously. Every week, what you'll have are 2 chapters to read, and then you'll have 2 lectures that go with them, lecture videos, and then discussion topics. So every week it kind of follows that same format of this week you have chapters 1 and 2, you have discussions 1 and 2, and then you'll also have lecture videos that go with them. So really important that you're following that format every week. Again, it's consistent. You can expect the same thing. Every 2 weeks you'll have an exam. So this week or next week you'll take exam number 1. There are a couple of self-assessments and a closing assignment. So every week we kind of follow that same format. Those 2 weeks are available to you. You can work a little bit ahead through the 2 weeks, or you can go week by week like I'll do on these Twitch sessions. It's kind of up to you. If you know you're going to have a really busy week next week, do a little more this week. If you have a really busy week this week, you can save it for next week. You have that flexibility, which is really nice. The next page tells you a little bit about me. So my name is Elisa Setmire. As I said, I'm a huge football fan. I'm a huge fan of escape rooms. I love the fall. Halloween's my favorite. I have already decorated for Halloween at my house. Happy back to school-Halloween, everybody. So I gave you a little bit about me just so that you know the person who's teaching this class. I've done 101 escape rooms. That's something about me. And again, I love Halloween, and Tom Brady's been my guy for years, so it'll be a weird football season for me, but I'm a big football fan as well. And as I said, you can call me Elisa or you can call me Setmire, totally up to you. I have some computer and internet stuff on here. If you're struggling, you might look at that. Totally if you need it. And then finally, the last page is about help. If you're struggling with something with Canvas, I give you their phone number. If you're having a hard time ordering the ebook, logging into the ebook or something like that, here is their email and phone number. And then once you've logged in and created your account, if you're ever struggling, here is their email for help later in the semester. And of course, when in doubt, check the syllabus, check the frequently asked questions, or email me. All right, I won't know if you're lost or confused, so reach out if you're ever struggling. I am here. I'm a real person, so I'm here if you need me. All right, and I'm happy to help you if you're having a hard time. So make sure that you look through all of that. Always click on any links that I give you. Explore anything that's there. That is the mandatory orientation lecture. And then once you're done with the lecture, you can take the quiz. Now, if you click on this, it's going to say you have to go to the ebook site. Here's a link to purchase it if you haven't already. Here's the ebook site. So let's go take a look at the ebook site together. It looks like it logged me out. It got tired of waiting for me. When you get to this screen, this one's a little confusing. You click on this little play button right here, and then you make sure you selected the right section. It has to have like every section of this class that I teach. So hopefully you picked the right one. And it's going to take you to the ebook, and this is what that ebook site looks like. So we're here on the ebook site. Are there any questions at all? Anything so far? I know I'm talking a ton. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure that you get a chance to see everything. But any questions, anything of confusion? All good. That's great. Love it. Okay, I'm getting a lot of you're good. So I'm glad you're good. That makes me happy to hear. So that's fantastic. So on this page is a little welcome. I made a video if you want to kind of see an overview of the class. And then the tabs up here on the top, which are kind of behind my video, are welcome, chapters, resources, the exam book, exam, and the grade book. Okay, so the chapters for the ebook are all right here where it says chapters. If you click on that, it'll bring up a list. So here are all the chapters for the book. And again, I did write this book. Hopefully you can hear my voice in it. But the chapters are traditional chapters, right? So if we click on chapter 2, for example, it's going to give you all these different sections. You can kind of jump around. They all start with an outline of things that you can expect that we're going to cover, some objectives about what you should know when you're done. And then it goes into a summary and then the chapter. Right, and they have images and key terms. You can see the key terms are in bold, and then they're all defined at the end of the chapter. So when you're reading the chapters, this is where you're going to do that, right? And you're going to go through and you'll read it. This is an interesting one right here. I'm going to have to make an update, right? Aliens have landed. There's some interesting new stuff about aliens recently, right? So that might change a little bit of this information in the book. So kind of funny, right? Psychology's ever changing. Here's a great example of that. So a little bit more here, just you read through this whole thing. There's little apply it boxes throughout, little boxes about side notes as well. And so again, it's just like a traditional chapter. So make sure that you're reading through it. At the very end of the chapter, I'm still scrolling, right? At the end of the chapter, you'll always see some in pop culture links. There's always going to be a link to a video I made on my YouTube channel, and then some application and key terms. Okay, so every chapter will follow that exact same format just to try and keep it consistent for you. But you should always be reading the chapters on here in a beautiful, ideal academic world. There's also a link up here to exams, right? So this is where you can find the exams for this class, including the mandatory orientation quiz that is due tonight, due by tonight at 11:59 p.m. So with the exams and the quizzes, they're all right here. And I'll talk more about exam number 1 next week on our next live stream. But for the orientation quiz, when you're ready to do it, you'll click begin your attempt. And some notes to remember. You have 15 minutes for this one because it's brief. It's just 10 questions. You get 1 attempt, so make sure you're ready to go before you begin. You can use your notes, you can use the book, you can use the syllabus, you can use anything at your disposal. But when we get to the exams, it's going to be really important that you're studying and preparing, right? If you don't do those things, you are going to struggle a little bit. So really important to do that. It's also important that you save your answers. So let's take a look at this together. When you click begin your attempt, it's going to take you to the quiz. Right? And you'll see right here, there's a little clock that tells you how much time you have left. Be mindful of the time. And then the questions, right? Here's the list. So there's one required ebook for this class, Psyched 4th edition. So you would click true and then save answer. And notice how now that it's saved, it turns like an orange color. You want to make sure all your answers are saved in orange before you hit submit. Otherwise, you won't get credit. Okay, and let's say I don't know the answer to number 2. You can skip it and come back to it. It's a gray color now that I've skipped it. This course is self-paced. You can work through it at your own pace. That is false, right? You can do 2 weeks at a time, but only 2 weeks, right? It's not 100% self-paced. I'm giving you freebies here, right? Hopefully you're you're taking notes, paying attention, right? So again, you can skip through them, right? And then when you're all done and you've answered everything, then you will hit I am finished, submit for a grade. So let's say that I'm done. Since I gave you 2 of them, here I'll give you 1 more. This class is entirely online, right? It is, yes, true. So at this point, if I've answered everything that I know to answer, I'm going to click I am finished, submit for a grade. And it'll say, are you sure? Yes. And you'll get a score instantly. So I got a shameful 3 out of 10, but I did get the 3 that I attempted correct. So that's good. You're welcome. You're welcome for the help. And so what you'll see is you can look down and you can see the ones that you got right and the ones that you got wrong. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this score does not automatically come over into Canvas. So if you're like, oh no, I did it, but I don't see a score. On the ebook website, there is a little grade book up here, right? And it just will house your scores temporarily. Once the deadline has passed, I will bring those scores over to Canvas and you'll see it in there. So tomorrow I will bring all those scores over. But if you don't see it in Canvas, don't worry. It just doesn't come over automatically. You can also find the other exams on here. I'll talk about exam number 1 next week, so let's not worry about that for now. One thing at a time. But you can find the chapters, the exams are on here. There's also some additional resources up here at the top. And these aren't things that you have to use, but they might be helpful. There's some flashcards. All of the key terms are defined for you. There's some little test yourself activities, which are kind of cool. I think they're helpful when you are preparing for the exam. My PowerPoints are on here, and then some stuff that I traditionally use in class. But there are some resources on here for you if you would like. The biggest thing are the chapters and the exams. Okay, so you're going to be using this website a lot. All of the exams are here. All of the chapters are here. Everything else is on Canvas. Okay, so between those 2 sites together, you should be in good shape. But make sure that you complete that orientation quiz before tonight at 11:59 p.m. As that is the one quick deadline. So I can make sure that you have your book, that you've gotten started. Because it's an 8-week class, it moves a little faster. So the add drop deadlines are like this weekend. So I want to make sure that you're all set before those pass. Okay, so again, at the top of this modules, here's all that stuff that we've gone over. Here's the mandatory orientation lecture and quiz. And once you've finished all that, you can start week 1. right? Week number 1 and week number 2 are open. You'll see week 3 is grayed out, like you can't access it yet, but you will be able to when we get there. So for now, let's talk about week number 1, but any other questions, anything else so far? Ebook site, get the ebook right away if you haven't already. Remember that the grades don't come over automatically. So kind of like a few highlights so far. Okay. I appreciate, I know it seems redundant, but thank you for saying no thank you and that you're good. In class I could see you nodding, like, but here I can't, so thank you. Each week, as I mentioned, everything that you need to do for that week is underneath that title. Okay, so just one way to keep organized. Everything listed here for week 1 is something you're responsible for week 1. And then week number 2, same thing. At the end of each 2-week section, there's a little like wrap-up checklist if you want to make sure you've done everything. Or you can look at the syllabus or the announcement or these reminders that I'm giving you here. But for this week, you're in charge of chapter 1 and chapter 2, right? So for each week, you'll have 2 chapters, 2 discussions, and then on the second week, you'll also have an exam. And as I said, you're welcome to do week number 2 this week if you wanted to, but I'm going to focus on each week one at a time as we do these live streams. So for this week, I'm going to focus on week 1, and then next week I'll talk about week 2, those topics, those discussions, and the exam. Okay? So for each chapter, you're going to want to do 3 things. My kids make fun of me for holding up 3 this way. I can't do the other one. Like I broke each wrist and I get like a little claw. So 3. For chapter 1, you're going to want to make sure that you read the book, right? Read the chapter on the ebook page, right? So you're going to want to read chapter 1 on the ebook page. You're also going to want to go through my lecture and watch the lecture video. So you're doing 3 things for every chapter. Read the chapter, go through the lecture, and watch the lecture video. And then you'll do the same for chapter 2. So the lecture is, there's going to be some like overlap, of course, but you'll see it has that 5-page format, just like the orientation one. You can listen to it or you can read it. The first page will always be like objectives and summary. The second page will always be beyond the book. So like for this one, I have a little timeline. I have a video that I downloaded and uploaded for you to watch. As a side note, click on everything. Anything that's in here, I'm putting it there for you to watch and explore. The more you explore those resources, the better off you'll be. In pop culture, some things in popular culture that connect to what we're talking about in that chapter. Key terms in review. These are the key terms from this chapter that you need to know for the exam. And then application, I'll always end with, now that you've read through this, what are some ways that you could apply this to your life? So anything in here, again, click on it, explore it. You're also going to watch a lecture video. And these tend to be like anywhere from like 20 to 30 minutes or so. It's me lecturing to PowerPoint slides about that chapter, kind of like if you were taking it with me in person. They're either a YouTube link or a Zoom link, depending on the chapter, but make sure that you're watching these, right? They're going to be really helpful for understanding and putting everything together. So again, 3 things for each chapter. Read the ebook, read through the lecture, and watch the lecture video. And then repeat for chapter 2. And then you'll have 2 discussions each week. So for this week, you have discussion 1 and 2. So let's take a look at those together. For the discussions, they follow the same format every time. Again, consistency is huge with online teaching. I'm a very organized person. I hope you see that. So what you'll find is that right off the bat, you have the instructions and a video every time. Okay, so I've told you, watch the brief video. These are like a minute or so, but I'm going to give you some highlights. Some of them are older than others. Like you can see my hair is all short here. I should update a few of them. But I gave you kind of an overview of the prompt, gave you some extra directions and tips. Then what you're going to want to do is answer my questions below, right? And so your responses to my questions are worth up to 13 points. And then you get 2 points for responding to a classmate. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for saying thank you. I'm a very organized, meticulous person, so I'm glad that you see and appreciate that. Thank you for saying thank you. And then you're going to want to not only answer my questions, but respond to a classmate. And that's a very easy 2 points, right? That kind of peer response. And think about your responses to my questions as like a mini paper. Really elaborate, show off your knowledge and understanding of the materials. Better to give me too much than not enough and lose points. Okay, so watch the video And then you can answer my questions. So for discussion 1, we're looking at the history and scope of psychology. And when you're ready, you'll hit reply, just like Nick did here and Sheila and a few others. So again, make sure that you're really elaborating. Give me like a solid paragraph for each question or more. Like if you want to have an idea of what I'm expecting, here is a rubric and you can see some samples and like how I'm grading and some tips. But make sure that you're always responding, and again, think about them as like little mini papers. You can give me too much in the beginning, you could always dial it back later, and I'll be giving you feedback on your discussions so that you can know what I'm expecting. And then you're also replying to a classmate. So let's say I really love the way that Nick defined this. I would hit reply, and then I could type my response to Nick, okay, or Sheila or whoever. So with each discussion, you're responding to my questions and then one classmate. So when we go to the next one, discussion 2, the other discussion for this week, this one is about chapter 2. And again, you'll see here are the instructions, watch the video, be detailed, elaborate, 13 points for your response, 2 for a classmate. So same format. Here's my video. Again, make sure you watch it. And then this one is about research, right? So if you could research anything, what would you research and how would you do it? And what are the advantages and disadvantages? And then you can hit reply. Right? And again, just kind of looking at these, again, remember to elaborate, right? Always give me lots of information. Let's say I really love the way, I think, is it Eliana? And I could reply to her, right? And you can type your responses in that box. Not a bad idea to always save your responses, right? Just in case they get deleted or something comes up. If there's ever a discrepancy and you have it saved, that's handy. The other thing that you have is you'll have an optional extra credit question, which I'll give you in a few minutes here. And then I'll always post a recording of these lectures. So when we're done with this, I will start the download and upload process. By the end of the day, it's safe to say that it'll be up there. It takes a few hours to do, but I will post a recording right here on this page. So if you're not able to make it live, you can watch it later and get all of these highlights and so on. And again, big thing, if you are subscribed on Twitch and watching this later, you can still answer the extra credit question I'm going to give in a little bit on this link right here and get those points. If you're not subscribed, I have no way of knowing you watched it, and so you can't get those points. So it's just an option for you if you can't make it live every week. I don't want to punish you and have you not be able to get those points. So you'll follow the same format for next week, except you'll also have an exam. So when I meet with you next Wednesday, I'll go over week 2. I've already taken a lot of time today, so I don't want to go over week 2 today, or that will be too much. 1 week at a time for the live streams. But what I will typically do at this point after I've gone over everything is I will give you the extra credit question and show you how to answer it. And then the last 10 minutes or so will just be me hanging out if you have any questions for me. So a couple of quick reminders, and then I will give you that extra credit question. So the first one, and Spooky Story. I like that name. That's fun. I was just going to say, first reminder, please take a moment either today or tomorrow or this week, figure out how to do that free Prime subscription. Okay, you can pay for it if you want to, but I would really rather you don't spend any extra money. I don't need you giving me money for this, so please, or giving Twitch money, I should say. It doesn't go to me. But you should find a way to subscribe if you can, for all the reasons I told you earlier. The other quick reminder that I have for you, let's look at the calendar together really quickly. Our next Twitch live stream, so I'm going to put this in the chat. Here, see, it's not cooperating. Our next Twitch live stream will be on Wednesday, August 23rd at 11:30 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to try and do these live streams at the same time every week. The only reason that won't happen is if something comes up or maybe I'm out sick or something like that. But you can count on every Wednesday at the same time. And again, if you can't make it, that's okay. I know that you have work, you have other classes, which is why I record them so you can watch it later. Those are all of my announcements and reminders. Let me give you the extra credit question, show you how to answer that, and then I'll see if you have any other questions for me. And I always write these out ahead of time just to save myself. I've learned that I don't type and talk well at the same time together. So this is our week number 1 Twitch extra credit question. Okay, so I'm going to put this here in the chat, and you can see it, and I'll also read it to you. But your week number 1 extra credit question is, what does the phrase correlation versus causation mean? Or correlation does not equal causation. Describe and give me an example. So this is from chapter 2, so you might not know the answer yet, and that's totally fine. You'll get there. But what does the phrase correlation versus causation mean? Describe and give an example. So let's say that you would like to answer that and get those points. 2 things that you need to do. So you need to either be here live with me and put your name in the chat, or be subscribed because I can download your participation. Or if you're watching this later and you're subscribed, that's fine. And then you go to Canvas. And since we're in week number 1, you click on Twitch Extra Credit number 1. And it's going to bring up this page with all those reminders. Here's a link to the instructions if you still haven't found me on those platforms. But up at the top, you're going to click on Start Assignment. See this little blue box up here where it says Start Assignment? Click on that. And then it brings up a text box where you can type your response. And if you do this earlier in the week and get it wrong, I often kind of try to grade these throughout the week. If you get it wrong, I'll let you know. You can always attempt it again. It's worth 2 points. If you do every single one of these, it's worth 16 points altogether. That is enough to make up for a missed discussion. It's enough to maybe counter a lower exam score, or maybe a couple of points you got off of a discussion. It will add up. It's definitely worth it to do. And I appreciate and I'm trying to reward you for watching my videos and joining me. So once you've typed your response, you will hit submit. And it's going to give you this little like confetti burst, which is fun. And pizza slices. You never know what will show up with the confetti. So this one was pizza and confetti. Pizza sounds good right about now. I'm ready for some pizza. So you can do this every single week. And again, I would encourage you to either joining me live or watching it later with that subscription. The only other thing that I have for you today, again, just a quick bulleted reminders. Get your copy of the ebook if you haven't already. Make sure you do that orientation before tonight at 11:59 p.m. If you have some barriers to getting the book by today or something came up, please make sure you reach out to me so we can troubleshoot. I don't want you to be dropped if there was stuff going on and I didn't know about it. And then other than that, get going on week number 1. Get started on all of those materials. Week 2 if you want to, but that's not until next week. And then what I will do from here is I will hang out for, the next 7-8 minutes or so. If you do have any questions for me, you can put them in the chat. I do have other classes that I do Twitch sessions with. So I have another one at 12:30. So if you ever see that I'm online and it's not our class, don't panic. I do these for other sessions as well. But what I will do is I'll hang out for a little while if you have any questions. If you don't and you're feeling good, you're welcome to go. We are officially done. And normally these will be a little shorter. I would say a half hour is a good guess. The longer we get into the class, the shorter they'll be because you'll have the format down. But I'm going to hang out for a little while if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you're having a great first week. It's so hot, so stay cool. I hope you're hanging in there with the heat. My chair keeps collapsing on me here. But thank you so much for those of you who joined me live, or if you're watching this later, thank you for that as well. I hope they're helpful. I'll keep doing it if they're helpful for you. So have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. I am going to minimize my video just so I'm not staring at myself because that's awkward. But I will hang out for a little while. If you have any questions for me, I will still be here. Otherwise, I will hopefully see you next Wednesday for our next Twitch live stream. Thank you again. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to write thank you again in here. And again, I am still here. If you do have any questions, I'll hang out for a few minutes before I start that next class in a few minutes here. But I'm here if you have any questions. Oh, that's not a silly question at all. So I'm glad you asked. If you don't need to cite anything that you reference in the book. So the discussions are pretty informal in that way. No, you don't need to worry about citing anything unless if you quote something, like if you directly copy your quote, maybe in that case might be a good idea. But most of the time, you're just kind of summarizing in your own words, and you don't need to worry about doing that. Thanks for checking, though. I appreciate that. You're welcome. Thank you, too. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a wonderful week. And again, stay cool. It's so warm, and it's not my favorite. Of course, you're welcome. And again, I am still here if you have any questions for a few more minutes. And then this recording will be up a little bit later today. You too, you too. Thank you. Yes. So I'm glad that you asked that, Sarah, right? If you're on Canvas, if we go back there for a second here, under each week, so right now we're in week number 1, you can see that the lectures are there. So you have the chapter 1 lecture, the lecture video, same for chapters 1 and 2. And then the recording of this will be posted right here a little bit later. So as I mentioned earlier, you want to do 3 things for every chapter. You want to read the chapter in the ebook, read and watch anything in the lecture, and then watch the lecture video. So you're going to want to do all 3 of those things for each chapter. You're welcome. No problem. You're welcome. Okay, so it looks like the vast majority of you have logged out at this point, and as I said, I do have another class here in a few minutes. Normally, we won't go this long, so I'm going to close this up, but if you think of any other questions, please feel free to email me. Have a wonderful first week, and I will hope to see you all next week for our week 2 live stream.